Hi there, and welcome back to this Hot Mess Express. It is Friday, which is the day I arbitrarily chose to start doing these weekly, where we're going to talk this year, the year 2023, about werewolves. And so I've been going through newer werewolf movies, trying to find that gem, that beautiful gem nestled in amongst the not dirt, definitely not gems. You take from that what you will. And I'm on week 3 of this journey. And the best I can say right now is the search is ongoing. Yeah. I do about one movie a week. Yesterday I did 1.5 movies. I had to nope out of that second movie. So I want to talk really briefly about the movie situation because one, I put some time into it, and two, I mean, some of these I've been having fun. But the problem is I can't talk about these movies by name because I would be making fun of them. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to these creators. Again, because these are recent works. The creators are still around. When we're doing the Ghost Writers podcast, we do try to focus on older movies to make fun of, movies that already have a following, movies that don't need us. We're not going to hurt the legacy of these movies by making fun of them. And I don't want to do that with these werewolf movies. I don't want to be the person being negative about that. I will say, again, I've been enjoying it, but I honestly can't recommend any of these movies. I've been going through Tubi and looking at the werewolf movies there, and it's been a journey. So 3.5 movies so far. So the first movie that I picked had a really, really cool title. And the thumbnail for the movie looked really awesome. And I was like, oh, heck yeah, we're going to have a good time. Now, of the movies that I've watched so far, all of them have been really low budget. The first one was by far the lowest budget. Think kids making a movie in the backyard with their phones. That's kind of where this one was at. But it made for some really funny moments. It's made by a group of creatives who wanted to make a werewolf movie, and all of the monster effects were definitely bought at Spirit Halloween. The costumes, the chains that they use later, it's all very hokey, but delightful. I want to make sure that you understand that low budget is not a sin. Low budget is not a bad thing. In the horror genre, a lot of our classic movies, a lot of our most iconic monsters and slashers began with extremely low budget movies. You can do a lot with a low budget if you use your imagination. The problem being is I laughed at this first movie and it wasn't meant to be funny. I laughed at the bad storytelling, the bad dialogue, the people who obviously were not actors trying to get through this story. And that's not a good thing. That's not something I want to come on here and talk about and name names. So I had a good time watching it. I really did. But as far as looking for a werewolf movie where I would recommend it on merit, no. The second movie had a substantially larger budget, but it would still be considered low budget. And it had the name of a famous movie franchise and book franchise attached to it, which I thought would at least, I expected garbage, I expected cheese, and it did achieve cheese, but I expected it to be a little better. And this movie was actually boring. I don't know how you can make a movie about werewolves and have werewolf scenes sprinkled throughout and still bore me. Very bored. Very disappointing. Not happy. So last night, I was a little more picky with what I went through, and I chose a movie. Had a great description. And I put it on, and the big thing about this movie, again, low budget, this movie was trying to be funny, tried too hard, and ended up being obnoxious. But it understood the assignment. It was very self-aware. It knew it was low budget. It knew it was going to have to rely on other things to thrill you, but it understood. It understood werewolf movies. It gave you the transformation scene, which is the money shot in werewolf movies. And it had that, and I was enjoying this movie so much so, like even the gaffes. I was enjoying the gaffes of this movie that I texted Mary and Matt, my co-hosts on the Ghost Writers podcast, and told them, okay, maybe we should do this movie for the show next week. Until I got to about the halfway point. Now, a lot of movies suffer from the middle sag, where in the course of telling the story, we do the build up, and then there's always this middle part that just kind of slows down and sags and it drags until we start picking up the pace again to reach our climax. Not always, but with these low budget movies where maybe there aren't enough people involved in the writing process, it's usually one person who doesn't get a lot of outside input, and we have the mid-movie sag. This one didn't just have a mid-movie sag. It sagged and completely died pace-wise up until about the last 10 minutes. And in the last 10 minutes, everything changed. The location changed. The cast changed. Who was the monster changed. And I was left confused. And, we're not doing it for the podcast. I have changed my mind. That movie ended up not being very good, which was sad because it had a very promising start. I really thought, oh, I've got one we can talk about on the podcast. I've got one I can talk about on YouTube, a werewolf movie that's actually fun. No. So I was disappointed, kind of defeated, 3 in a row, 3 strikes. So I started a second movie, and I made it about 25 minutes into it before I turned it off. And I watched The Crown on Netflix instead, because holy crap. So I went into this knowing werewolves are disrespected in cinema, so we're doing our best to find something that I can talk about on here, something I can recommend, something that brought me joy. And the well is dry right now, but that is no reason to give up. I'm still going. Now, I can talk about a book, and let me say, I'm sorry I didn't write your name down. Whoever commented last time and said, I've got all kinds of books that I read, drop them below, please. Please leave your book recs because I need some. I've got a whole bunch in my Amazon cart ready to buy. I went through my own bookshelves, ones that I hadn't gotten to yet. Going to be reading those, but I could always use more. Please share with the class. Thank you very much. The book I want to talk about today, we're going to be a little loose with the werewolf thing because this is a were book of sorts, but it is a were-bear. The book I want to talk about is Bishop by Candace Nola. I don't think I'm ruining anything by telling you it's a were-bear. It's on the cover. that's what's on the cover. But this was a great book where I keep watching these movies where pacing is a problem. We have the complete opposite with Bishop. Bishop has fantastic pacing. It keeps ratcheting up the tension. The action is fantastic. The fights are fantastic. The characters are also fantastic. This is what you want in a horror book. This is what you want in a monster book. I cannot recommend this enough. This is a book that is doing very well. I can't imagine you haven't read it yet, but if you haven't, please do. Fantastic book. I do have another one to talk about next week, before I start slowing down, because we're still trying with the movies. But yes, Bishop by Candace Nola. The thumbnail is the cover of that book. Please go seek it out. And if you read it and like it, please find the author and let her know that you liked it. Shout it out. Get on social media and let people know. When we're talking about the indie book scene, and horror, the genre, is very robust and healthy in the indie scene. The bigger publishers are being a little more picky, but there is a wealth of books in the indie scene, but it's a little hard to get put in front of readers. If you read an indie book by an indie author and you enjoyed it, scream about it on social media. You have no idea how helpful that is. So yes, read Bishop. Don't watch any of the movies I've been watching. But recommend to me books that you've read by werewolves. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, my autobiography as a lycanthrope. That would be fantastic. About werewolves. If you've watched any recent werewolf movies that aren't the Disney stuff or Werewolves Within, like, or The Wolf of Snow Hollow, is that what it was called? I hated that movie. Let me know. But we're trucking on. We're still trying to find something worthwhile. Let me know. Thank you for being here. And I will see you next week, next Friday. That's what we're going to try for. Here we go. Bye-bye.